Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin,
And I'm your co-host, Dean.
and joining us today is Stephen LaMorte, a freelance director and producer. So let's get into the Grinchy spirit, talk about the mean one. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, I mean, this was, a real pleasure. We were able to grab a screener that Dean actually just missed the mark
Oh
of
yeah,
seeing the
man.
screener. But I mean, hey, we're all here. We're here to talk about horror and everything that we love. And it's awesome having you on. You're a fairly indie filmmaker. You've done like a lot of lower budget things. I was going through your IMDb, like, wow, so you,
hmm
you really do thrive in indie. And
hmm
that's absolutely awesome because we definitely need more of that in the world. So thank you so much for taking some time out. I know we did have to reschedule because of yesterday, but hey, we're here today, gonna have a blast, and we're gonna talk about this. And this is like another like boundary pushing movie coming out this year, The Mean One. Like it's crazy. So I wanted to ask you, like, how did The Mean One come about?
Sure. Well, I mean, you know, the idea for this first came to me. I've had this idea for years, right? So, when you're working in film, they always say you only have one, you don't have more than one, you never have just one pitch, right? So they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, tell us about your action film." It's like, "Okay, but as soon as you say, "Oh yeah, it's about this," they're like, "We have something like that. You got anything else?" You don't want to be, you don't want to be caught without a second idea. So it was always that third thing that just I could never really let go of. Um, just something about kids drawings and these creepy little cartoon animation, especially from like the 60s and 70s,
Oh yeah.
kind of freaks me out a little bit,
Mm.
like the really weird hand-drawn stuff. I mean, like The Giving Tree. It's a beautiful book. I love it. But some of those sketches are like they're a little sketchy. And if you've ever seen like when kids and crayons, freaks me out,
I'm
right? So
with
I've
you.
always wanted to do something that was like, a kid's story with that, kind of classic aesthetic, but kind of turned on its head.
Yeah.
And then about a year ago in December, I said, every year I said I was going to just shoot my favorite jokes from this idea, right? Like, cause it's, I just had like an outline. And I'm like, oh, what if Cindy had like a candy cane shotgun and, the
Oh hell
monster
yeah.
was like the Yeti and, there'd be like an old man and I'd do a little Home Alone and whatever. And I had a commercial cancel and, it was like December 15th. I said, screw it. I'm just going to make this, little short fake trailer for this movie that I was never, ever going to make. There's no way they would let me make this movie. Like, this is just something fun for me. And we made it and, we shot it in a couple of days and I showed it to some friends. They're like, oh, this is a super fun concept. Where's the movie? I said, no, it's a fake trailer. There's no more movie. And they're like, yes, but where's the movie? I said, there's no movie. Stop asking. There is no more movie. And then my fiance, who also plays Mayor McBean in the film, who's my producing partner, was like, "But what if there was a movie?"
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
one thing led to another, and this is December of last year. By May, we had a script that we really liked and that we were really happy with. We shot for about 15 days, and I guess it's 6 months later. We're in theaters all across the country.
Wow, that's
15
incredible.
days? Wow,
Sorry,
that's
14
impressive.
days technically, because we I don't want to say we ran out of money because that's not an unflattering portrayal of our tiny indie film, but we stopped shooting at 14 days and that was it. That was the end of the film. So
Wow.
the final 5 minutes was shot maybe 90 minutes before we got, I wouldn't say evicted, but before we were no longer allowed to be at our last location. So yeah, we're to use, doesn't get more indie than that.
Oh wow,
That's
that's
awesome.
that's really impressive, and it's got a pretty good cast in here too. And
Oh yeah.
there's that one person that's in this cast. It's really, I feel like, helping your film. Dean, I know you have a couple of questions regarding David Howard Thornton,
Yeah,
so
Mr.
go right
David
ahead.
Howard. Yeah, man, he's on everyone's lips. Even especially over here in the UK at the minute, everyone's gone terrifier bonkers. Everyone just absolutely loves that movie. How did David come around to sort of? How did you kind of have David in mind when he was writing the script,
Mhm.
or did you sort of reach out to him and see if he wanted to come and audition for the role? And how was it working with him? I met him very recently, and he was a really
Mhm.
nice guy, really super
Oh,
cool.
David's the best. I mean, we send little memes back and forth. Like every time someone gets excited about the movie, like David's awesome. I actually know some of the producers of Terrifier. I went to high school with them. So Terrifier's been on my, so like Terrifier's been on my radar since the first one, you know, when it was first like kind of bubbling. I'm like, guys, is this your thing on Netflix? And they were like, yeah, this is like, it's blowing up, right? This is 2016, 2017. And we're laughing because they stay in New York and, you know, I moved to Los Angeles. So we kind of have this, it's like the mob, right? Like they get the East Coast, I get the West Coast. So, you know, we have this. So I was aware of Terrifier. I knew Terrifier 2 was coming out. They had shown me some stuff. You know, we went out for drinks and they were like, you want to see some craziness? And they showed me some stuff on their phone of like, you know, shots from the movie before, you know, it had been released or a trailer was out. And I was like, man, this thing's going to be huge. And as we're putting the script together and we realized that the mean one couldn't talk, it'd be scarier if he was like a Yeti or a Bigfoot kind of a deal, Krampus. We're like, we need an actor that can really emote, that can perform. And I said, you know, we should really take another look at Terrifier. Not the same movie at all. Obviously, Terrifier is a mega slasher, you know, gory, technical mastery of makeup. And our film is a Gremlins style, like goofy, campy, you know, feel good horror movie, right? But we're like, let's take a look at Terrifier again. And as soon as we watched the first one, we're like, this is the guy. We have to get him to do it. And so we sent him the script, and it turns out David is a huge fan of the source material, and was in like a Broadway run of a musical version of it.
He was telling me that.
I've seen some footage of him in that.
Yeah, I mean, he's and of course he's exceptionally talented. So he was like, "Oh man, whatever it takes, we're gonna make this work." So he came to the set, he did the makeup tests. You know, because we had a bunch of different designs we were toying with. And then his first day on set, he kind of slinked out of the makeup room and not the whole crew, there's like 15 people, but like the whole crew was like, whoa, I didn't realize this is what we were working on. I was like, well, there you go. And, you know, as soon as he starts rubbing his hands and moving about on his fingertips, we knew we had something special. And he was he was great. It was just a blast. I mean, David is so talented, and, there's like, we were thinking there's so much unused footage just from the scenes that we shot, not even the scenes that we cut, scenes that are in the movie. If it's a scary scene, he gave us a funny take. If it's a funny scene, he gave us a scary take. Like, he's just so expressive that, you know, we could do a 90-minute oops, all David cut. That's just the mean one, you know, shenanigans. He's great. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I could tell he was having a lot of fun, and especially with some of those really crazy kills that were going on. And this whole movie is parody of itself, like from the CGI to the town to how people talk and everything. There's so much going on in this film that I'm so happy that it exists, because for years I have also been thinking of, what if there was a horror version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas? No one's done it.
The what?
How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I've never heard of that. I don't know what that is. We know about the mean one for sure, but I don't know what. Yeah. I have no recollection of that.
Yeah, so it's so cool seeing, you know, something like that. So thank you for making a really bonkers parody film with, you know, a lot of crazy things that happen, and also pushing more boundaries and being in theaters. Like, I wanted to ask you, like, obviously there's going to be so many people that are like, okay, so now Terrifier 2 is really helping indie films. Do you believe that's what helped you get the push for Regal?
Well, I mean, it does. I think it did help for sure. The kind of viral, salacious nature of the film, it definitely went a long way to, okay, there's interest in this. But, you know, part of I think what's made the film kind of really go where it's gone is that, you know, people are going to the theater for experiences, you know, and I think that's why like horror is, and it's done it before, but I really think horror is like going to save the theaters, because people want to go and they want to see Top Gun, right? They want to be in the cockpit with Tom Cruise, right? They want to see all their favorite Spider-Men swinging through, you know, Manhattan. And horror is one of those genres that creates an experience. You don't want to see a horror movie by yourself. I mean, you
Oh
can on
no.
a couch, it's fine with turn the lights off, maybe, but you sit in a room and you watch Terrifier, or you watch a movie like The Mean One, you're laughing, you're shrieking, depending on what you're into. I mean, my some of our crew came to the premiere and they wanted to cover their eyes. I'm like, the movie's not scary. You want to see scary, you should see some of Davy's other work. And it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. And so I think that some of our theatrical partners really saw an opportunity for like this could be an experience, because it's goofy and it's silly and it's like a date night movie somehow, even though
Yeah.
it's like a we've been saying like Hallmark horror,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually.
and like that's what we set out to make. And every time because sometimes if you're in Los Angeles or within driving distance of my house, I slip into some of these theaters where the where the movie is playing and they don't know that I'm there, and to hear people like laughing and kind of just having fun with it, yelling at the screen, I'm it's a blast. It's great. Like this is what we set out to do. And I think that's why kind of the theatrical thing is so interesting, because I think people are done being indoors. There's some stuff you want to watch at home, sure, but I don't know, people want to get out and like be around people and have an experience, and hopefully we're delivering that.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like watching horror with a crowd of people as well. Whenever we go to like horror festivals and everyone's cheering and whooping at the screen, that's such a great feeling. That I love that.
And especially too, like when you have the the hapless idiot is walking towards the noise, and everyone in the audience is like, what are you doing? Don't go into the basement, what are you doing? But that's part of the fun of it. And I think that there's, not that I don't like high-minded horror, I do. I think it's super cool when it's a critique, it's really well made and high production value. That's awesome. But there's something fun about like a bonkers movie like Gremlins, where it's just silly and ridiculous. And I think that's where some of the modern like big studio horror films sometimes kind of lose their way, because like if you take the source material just a little too seriously, it becomes less fun. So I think it's almost like with a movie like ours, it's almost more fun when it's more stupid, because then like if it knows what it is and leans into it, like crack open a beer, eat some popcorn and let's just like, fine, go into the basement. Let's split up. Sure. That's a great plan. Let's do it. And let's see what happens.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good moments of like in this movie of people kind of doing their own thing. And it's like you shouldn't be doing that by yourself, because you know what you're getting yourself into, but they do it anyway, and then it leads to like more snowball effects, and it's so good. And the whole payoff of this movie is good. The whole ending, I was cracking up. I'm like, I love this movie. It's really, really good. I just bought my tickets for Saturday and Sunday of this coming week, see it in theaters with people. I watched it through the screener last week. I was unfortunately sick with COVID, so I wasn't able to go out this weekend. But being able to see this from a screener, I really do have to thank Ted a lot for that, and for anybody else that helped, push the screeners for everybody, because it was a blast. And this is definitely added to my holiday rotation of films now. So I'm excited to watch this for years to come.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, we're such a small, like tiny, independent, oh my God, like such a small little endeavor. Me and the folks that I make movies with all the time, they decided they're going to come along with this crazy idea. Who knows if anybody will ever see it? And now, to have people all across the country and all over the world, like, oh, when can we see it? We're excited, sitting and laughing together. Like, we got couch cushion money, right, to make this silly thing. And so we leaned into the, the zaniness of it and hope that it would find its audience. And I'm so happy to hear that, like, get out there, sit next to some people. I hope your screening is full. Some theaters are showing it like 5 times a day. I'm like, no, man, just show it once, make everybody show up at 7. And like, let's have a blast,
Yeah, all the Regals around me are doing, I think, 5 to 6 viewings, and it's kind of dwindling throughout the rest of the week, which is completely fine, because it makes more people want to go see it. And I'm going for 2 screenings, because I always like to go with 2 different crowds and see how they act. So I'm really, really excited for that. Really, really excited.
I'm so glad. I was a little worried too when they started sending screeners out. I'm like, what do you mean the Chicago Sun-Times wants to review this film? Who is going to watch this, and in what context are they going to appreciate? Like, this is, do I get an introduction? Can I explain what you're about to watch? Because if not, I have a
Yeah.
feeling you're going to be a little confused. But yeah, that's awesome. That's so great.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
super
sorry, Dean.
excited.
You're we'll get to you soon. I promise.
Oh, that's one of my questions. Actually, I was gonna ask you when. Uh, do you know when it might come to the UK or when it will be available to
It'll
watch in the UK?
it'll be next year. It's kind of a 50-50 thing. I mean, with everything about this movie has been like quick and fast. And that's like
Yeah.
one of the really cool things about being independent is we have some really awesome, like just fantastic support from some big companies, which is great. I mean, Regal is, I mean, they're such champions of like independent cinema. And they're like, what do you need? How can you help? And we're like, well, we don't really have a marketing budget because it's us,
Yeah.
so can you like help push the movie? And they're like, done, we're in, so we have some big, awesome partners. But, originally our plan for release on the film was, make it in 5 or 6 months and get it out for Christmas. And maybe we'll bring it to the world. But then we had these opportunities that kind of
Yeah.
shook up our release schedule.
Yeah.
So now, it's only in America, and we're weighing our options because how long it's in theaters kind of impacts our ability to do the rest.
Yeah.
So really, it's just a question of will the movie, and I don't know, will the movie be available worldwide in March or June? Because we have to wait at least 45 to 90 days.
Yeah.
Or is it something where we put the film on ice and we do kind of what we did in America again next Christmas, but this time in the whole world? So
Yeah,
we're not sure.
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
maybe we'll find a home on Shudder or Screenbox or something
oh,
like that. Roll down the
Greenbox
line.
would be awesome. Oh yeah, Screenbox. They're pretty good friends with us over here. They take care of us for a lot of screeners and stuff. So
Yeah.
Screenbox, they're really cool. So wherever this movie lands, I'm happy. For more indie films like this to get some time in the spotlight, I think is very encouraging for other indie filmmakers. And I'm happy that this was the year that really kind of broke the mold for that. I feel, for especially for the horror side of indie, you don't really see that with like action or comedy, like horror. That it always pushes through, and with this being a horror comedy parody and it being in Regal, which is huge, and also being #2 in America, that is nuts. Like I can't believe what's going on this year. And I can't imagine how you and everybody who worked on the film is feeling. Like, wow, no,
It's crazy. I mean, it's a great time to be an independent filmmaker because there's so many ways that not only can you make something, but also that you can like find your audience, right? I really think that there is a certain element of filmmaking where, the less studios there are, the less big productions, big budgets there are, the more, how can we make this movie make sense in another country? How can we make something we think everybody will like? And I think that kind of dilutes what makes unique movies happen. So it's really cool to see that, like, in the same year we got Terrifier, we got Halloween, we got Smile. There's a bunch of really good horror movies that came out at the beginning of the year. There's something like The Mean One, and I just think it's super cool that independent films and filmmakers are like, let's make something supernatural. Let's make something that's not supernatural. Let's do something that's, PG-13 versus R. I mean, The Quiet Place, it couldn't be more different from Terrifier, and they're both horror movies. And it's like awesome that they can both exist and you can find your audience and build a fan base. And, there was a time when sequels was like, that was the worst thing you could do. Don't ever make a #2, it's going to be bad. And now it's like, why wouldn't you make a third Terrifier? Maybe we should split it into 2 parts and do 3 and 4. People, I would see that. Like, why not? If I have to get Screambox, I'll do it. Like, so I think it's a great time to be making independent film, and we're over the moon because you just don't know what's going to hit and what people are going to respond to. And we're going to a screening tonight here in Los Angeles with like a Q&A with the filmmakers. Awesome. And then next week we're doing a screening in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll be there with one of the producers doing another screening. And then I think the week after, we haven't formally announced it yet, but I think the week after Christmas, we're going to be in New York City and David's going to be there. And maybe we'll kill somebody on stage. I don't know, but it's going to be like, it's a blast. And I love hanging out with horror people, and it's so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to try to find a way to go to that New York City one. Hell yeah.
It's probably going to be the 26th. So if you want to come through,
Okay, I'll keep my eye out for that for sure.
So I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the trailer, and the
Mhm.
makeup looks on point, like for
Yeah.
David Grinch. Who did you get him to do the makeup? Was it somebody that you already worked with, somebody, or did you kind of hire somebody in?
No. So this is the crazy thing. Just goes to show you in life, everything happens for a reason. So Tatiana Blush, Amy, how is her last name pronounced? I truly, it's
I think
Bushel. I can write it out.
You're just
Tatiana,
like
our
me.
amazing, our amazing makeup artist. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll ask her tonight. I'll be like, people keep asking me, and I just keep saying Tatiana. Our amazing makeup artist. She reached out through my company site and was like, "Hey, are you looking for a makeup artist?" And I'm 2 weeks away from shooting this insane thing, and her work samples were super awesome. And I said, "Hey, are you interested in building this creature for us?" And she went so hard. We went back and forth in the designs. I did a bunch of like Photoshop sketches and like, what about these teeth? What about these teeth? What about, she's like, what about this application and this fur? And, I built some of the pieces myself. I made the shoes. I myself and the writer made the jacket, and
So
the
good.
writer's wife stitched the patches, and then I distressed everything. So it was like, everyone kind of came together to make this thing happen. And the first time he came out, it was crazy. I have the photos, and we're like, whoa, this is super cool. And initially it took maybe 4 hours to do the makeup, but by the very, very end of production, she had gotten it down to, I think, 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is
Nice.
like unheard
Wow.
of
Yeah.
for a monster, and something that he can move in. He can emote,
Yeah.
he can smile, it's and there's a bunch of moments, especially in the end of the film, where you really get a good look at his face, and where he's really emoting. And I can't give her enough props. People love it. And I think that it's a good mix of the aesthetic we're going for and the functionality. You build the Predator suit, and you can't, or the alien costume, and you can't move in it. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what are we going to be able to do? And this thing was super functional. And, his stunt double was able to put on a variation of it so that he could do rolls and do the fights. And, it was great. It was for an indie film, like, we were just so blessed.
Yeah, it
Very
did come
cool.
out really, really cool. Go ahead, Dean.
What kind of budget did you have as well? Did you have did you kind of have a bit of a shoestring budget, and you had to really kind of all pull together?
It's we had like the 2 nickels that we had to rub together, for warmth. It was very, very low budget. Where the movies, it's not even Terrifier. I like to tell people it's not even the Terrifier 2 budget. It's like Terrifier 1 budget. We had,
Wow.
next to nothing to make this thing. And that's why, our crew is, between 10 and 15 every day. But thankfully, all my closest friends are stunt performers. So everyone that dies in that SantaCon massacre, like,
That seems so good.
They came over for Thanksgiving. Like, I know all of them. If you've ever seen any of my films, it's the same 10 people get killed over and over and over again. We had our producer's hairdresser made custom shirts. Our makeup artist was like building applications using makeup that she had, I guess I'll say, borrowed from other shoots. We couldn't afford the good blood, so we had to like make our own blood. It was a real labor of love, and I'm just so thankful that so many like talented artists would come through, and we're like, no, we can't afford to go to a real cave. Let's build the cave. And the writer who also plays Cindy's father is one of the 2 writers, and they built some of the cave sets out of paper in his living room. So
Wow.
like
That is
they're
wicked. Wow.
putting up like brown paper, that went up to the ceiling. I sketched it out. I'm like, okay, here's the specifics of how we have to do it. And then we like put paper down on the ground, and then we brought in like fertilizer and dirt and like dog bones. And
Wow.
That's so cool.
we
So
couldn't
creative,
even afford,
man. I love it.
we couldn't even afford the wallets. So we're like, okay, everybody in the crew, we knew we needed wallets. We just didn't have the budget to buy wallets. Everybody, throw your wallets in. Come on, give us your wallet. So like Burke's, like when he's picking up wallets in the cave, those are like the crew's wallets, because we just had to save every dime we could. And some of the crew actually even got those wallets back, but not
Yeah.
all of them.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah,
Hell
they were
yeah.
just a little lighter than when we started. They were like, Steve, there was a 20 in here. I was like, hey man, you want lunch? This is how it's gonna go down. Sorry.
Wow, that's a real labor of love, and the whole family dynamic is something that Dean and I have been hearing a lot from people who've been bringing on with the whole cast and crew really being a family.
Mhm.
I felt like 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't really hear like, yeah, we all came together and did this with movies. Even like indie, it was kind of just like we just threw this together really quickly, and people kind of came and went. But nowadays, people stick around for more films and more films. Like the
Mhm.
whole Terrifier family, they've been doing that stuff forever. And now you have your
Mhm.
own family, which you sort of kind of tied in with them. It's so awesome to see these communities within the filming sphere, keep creating more things for us to consume, and the love really shows on film. And I don't want you guys to stop doing any of it because I'm here for it all.
Awesome. Well, we love doing it. I mean, it's, you we like to say that, production, making a movie is like making a baby, right?
Yeah.
Conception is super fun. And then, labor is like really, really painful. And then when it's done, you have this beautiful thing. And the people that you do it with have to be there, because if it's not fun, you're doing it wrong, right? And that's why I think you do end up with a lot of these like soulless cash grab movies.
Yeah.
But we make movies together, we hang out together, like my team, we just love, they're all coming to the screening again. They've all seen it. We all went to the premiere and they're like, hey, can I come tonight? I said, well, leave room for people that want to see it, but I mean, yes, you can come.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I want to bring a friend. Like every ticket helps. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? You guys worked so hard. If I could give you tickets, I would. I mean, that's how invested these people are. And I think it really shows in every frame of the footage that just how much fun we had making the movie, and just a zany good time while shooting, and hopefully in the theaters.
Yeah, it's awesome, and please don't stop doing it. And this kind of leads to my next question is, what is the future? Are you going to be doing more like horror parody stuff? Are you going to go off and do more like original material? Do you have anything kind of brewing right now?
I do. There is another horror parody that is brewing in my head. It's based on something you've definitely heard of. I'm probably going to announce it in the next month or so.
Okay.
Once I've fully formed, and I'm sure, because you're going to make a movie, it's like getting a roommate, right? Like I'm going to live with this thing for 2 years. But it's super cool, ups the ante on pretty much everything I had fun with on the last one. And if all goes to plan, I am going to make it in collaboration with the Terrifier guys.
Wow!
So,
yes.
yeah. Shout out to Fuzz on the Lens. I'll be seeing you guys. We got together right before both of our movies came out, and we were shooting a reality pilot because we got to pay the bills, and we're hanging out and we're having beers, and they're like, dude, you call us for your commercials. You call it, every time you come to, you shoot in New York, you shoot in Boston, you shoot in Pennsylvania. When are we going to make a movie together? And I was like, okay, if let's say our next 2 films both go really well, on my word, I'll come back to the East Coast and we'll make a movie together. And that was, I think, September, And
Wow.
so now I've got a meeting on the books. I'm going home for Christmas and I'm going home for my Terrifier meeting, and we're going to chat about what's next. So
That's
we're excited.
I'm
Is
very,
that Phil? Is that Phil Falcone? Is he part of Fuzz on the Lens?
I don't know if I know he's on the I know the Fuzz on the Lens guys. So I know Mike Levy and Steve Della Sala and Jason Levy, and we were in the same like AV club, I guess, the school TV station.
Yeah.
But we all did it. We didn't want to do the news. You got the guys who were reading the announcements and doing the sports, and there's a place for that for sure. But we always were doing sketches. We set up a whole other like desk. We called it Studio B, and we would make these like parodies and ripoffs of like the trashy MTV shows that were on TV and fake movie trailers and stuff. And like now we're making movies and we're in theaters, and it's crazy. It's just nuts.
Everything came full circle. That's awesome.
That's great, man.
And Mike Levy
awesome.
punched me in the face one time in a sketch we did. And I told him one day I would get him back, and I'm still waiting for an opportunity for us to both be on camera so that I can get my revenge. I have not forgotten. So, Mike, if you're listening, be prepared.
I'm coming for you.
Oh, I'm
coming for
excited
you.
to see that. Hell yeah.
The Equalizer.
Well, I'm really excited for the future of the meme one and the future of everything else that you've got going on. Dean, I don't know if there's any other questions you kind of want to throw your way.
Just one more thing. Yeah. So I followed David online, David Howard
Mhm.
Thornton, and then I was just kind of checking people kind of posting up reviews of the meme one just to see what people were saying, and I noticed one guy said, "Yeah, I love it, great movie." And the only thing that I wasn't sure about was all the kind of CG blood and the blood
Mhm.
splats and stuff like that. And then David replied to him saying, "We did that on purpose. That was the point. Like we were parodying not just the Grinch movie, whatever, but also kind of B movie horrors as well. So it's that on purpose." So I was going to say, what other kind of movies are you influenced by, like B movie kind of stuff? What sort of stuff do you sort of look at and think, yeah, that's cool, I'd love to?
Well, I mean, anything that's got kind of practical effects, I really enjoy. Which is funny to say, even though we put a lot of really cartoony digital blood in there on purpose. I think there's one review that's like, the mean one has the worst digital blood of all time. And I'm like, yes, we're number one at the thing we tried to do, because like it's not Sharknado. We'd like, we make some Sharknado style choices in there for sure.
Sharknado, man.
Oh yeah.
They're so silly. It's wonderful. Like the bigger those movies get, the dumber they are.
Yeah.
Thank you for this
wonderful,
terrible thing. But I'm really influenced by I really like, movies like Dog Soldier. Dog Soldiers is one of my go-tos. Gremlins I love. I'm really more into the kind of adventure themed horror, classic movie monsters, Wolfman, The Mummy, right? So I kind of like to me, I'm more into like Spielberg horror, if that makes sense. So like I'm more of a Jurassic Park guy than I am Friday the 13th. I enjoy Halloween for sure, but that's because Halloween's like suspenseful, so all of my big kind of influences and things that I liked. I mean, there's a Jurassic Park goat is in the film. You'll see it when you see it, Dean. But like, all of my big influences are like, kind of that Spielberg terror and tension more than, really gory, crazy stuff. So, but if you're going to have the meme one, throw somebody into a meat grinder. Well, if I'm trying to make a date movie, maybe we go cartoony and not realistic, because, oh my God, if we're going to have chunks of flesh flying out, might not be for everybody. And we really wanted to make like a Christmas movie. And if you like Hallmark films, like this is a send up of all of that with a monster.
Yeah, it really is. That it's it right on the head, making a Hallmark. That'd be actually really funny if they put that on their channel one year. Like, here you go. Here's a Hallmark horror parody. Here you go.
Well, next week we have some new trailer footage, because I definitely think some people thought the movie was going to be way scarier, because David's in it and the trailer's super fun. But I think a lot of people expected like the mean one to be really, really gory and vicious and violent. And we set out to make something that was more comedy than like really, really heavy horror. I loved Shaun of the Dead, and at the end of Shaun of the Dead, it's a very funny movie. But the third act of that film, those are some real zombies.
Yeah.
And we just didn't want to do that. I wanted to make something where, we know the goat got eaten, but we don't need to see a corpse get mutilated, because, I wanted to make something that was like fun and campy more than hard to watch. So it's
oh, you definitely nailed that.
so we got a new trailer coming out next week that might be a little bit more silly and a little bit more like, see the love story with a monster, kind of a thing. So maybe we'll sell it to Hallmark, who knows, and we'll just leave the monster stuff out and just focus on the romance.
Hey, that will work. It could work that way. Man,
nobody watches the screeners anyway. We'll be fine. It'll be all good.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Stephen? Thank you for coming on and spending some time with us and talking about this. It was pretty ambitious, I would say, for what you were doing, and it definitely nailed it. For it being number 2 in America right now, being Regal exclusive, everybody's talking about this. After the whole Terrifier 2 wave, now everybody's like, yeah, the mean one. I'm like, yes, because this is another movie that needs to be highlighted. And if anybody is near a Regal theater, book your ticket now, because I promise you, this is a movie that you do want to see. it has that Christmas feel that I love. I love the feeling of Christmas, like when you watch movies, you get that spirit. Like, yeah, this is a horror parody, but it has a lot of heart in it, and you can see that like everybody who worked on it with you, Steven, like in the writing and with David's acting, like there's a lot of love in this film, and I'm really happy to see this getting some more spotlight and being in theaters and you going to more premieres and showings and having everybody show up. It's awesome. So thank you for creating something like this and taking the time out of your day to come talk to Dina.
Of course, I'm happy to be part of it. Look, the movies like this, little movies that could with minimal budget and resources behind, all we have is each other, right? And
Exactly.
we're only supposed to be in theaters for 1 week, right? That's all they said. They said you get 1 week, 7 days. Actually, no, sorry, 6 days. Do your best. We believe in you, but this is all we can really it, promise.
Yeah.
And because people showed up that first week, like we got extended. We're going up against Avatar this weekend.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Which I'm sure will be fine.
Yeah.
But my dream, my hope is that the Mean One would be around for Christmas. That's why we didn't put it out in November, October. We really wanted this to be like a Christmas film. And the only way that the Mean One is around, for the Christmas, the 26th, 27th, 28th, that week where people are hanging out and just looking for something fun to do, is if people, support and tell people that they liked it and kind of come and go see it. So we made it for people to watch, and we hope that people do enjoy it, because fans like you guys are the reasons why it's able to stay in theaters and have a life. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, anything that anybody makes that has a lot of heart in it, Dean and I usually always try to see it as soon as we possibly can. That's why I reached out for screeners to go and see it, and seeing it in theaters. One thing that people always kind of think that, oh, people got screeners, so they're not going to go and watch it in theaters. I'm like, I got the screener, but I'm still going to go see it in theater. I want to be there with the audience, If Dean was here with me, I'm sure that we would both go to the theater after watching
hell
it.
Yeah, man.
And watching it all week and buying out like what we can for all the viewings, and I'm so excited to see this weekend.
Definitely.
2 days in a row on the weekend. I'm very, very excited.
It's fun, man. I got to tell you, at night when I go and I see, like, I'm trying to pick which theater I'm going to go to, and I'm like, oh, there's going to be a bunch of people in this one, I'm going to that one, and
That's great.
and it's funny because sometimes I'll go with Amy, the who's in the film, and she we'll just sit in the back, and on the way out, they're like, wait, hold on a second. You're the person from that. And I'm like holding the poster for her to sign. And they're like, oh, you must be important. You're holding posters. What did you do? I'm like, I just directed. It's no big deal. You want a picture with Amy? And they're like, oh my God, what are you doing here? I'm like, I just like hanging out with people, whatever. Yeah. I need a hobby. This is it.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you guys and really pushing this. So thank you again for doing this. And
yeah, man. Thank you.
Please, anybody listening to this and watching it, go see this movie. Go see it anywhere you can. Bring friends, because I promise it's a movie you want to see with a bunch of people. And bring some candy canes with you, because yes, it's definitely a Christmas movie that is going to be in, I think, a lot of people's lists and rotations every year. There's some people online that I've seen have already like, yeah, I'm watching this every year. I'm like, yes. That's kind of the goal for what you guys are going for, and I'm happy to have it in my rotation. I'm just psyched to see more films like this. So thank you so much, Steven, for it, and everybody else that was on here, and David for putting himself through another makeup monster. So it's awesome. So
I don't know how he does it. He's got like Israeli torture training or something. I don't know how he does it. He's like, how you doing, David? And he's like, I can't breathe, but I'm having a blast. We're like, okay, all right, because with the nose piece, he can't breathe, he can't taste. We have to like place the food in his mouth to not mess with the teeth makeup. I mean, he's a real trooper.
Yeah, so thank you guys for doing this. And Steven, for your next film, we would love to have you on and doing some promotion for it and whatnot. And we want to stay connected with you, because every person we talk to, we try to bring them into the family and always ask them if they ever want to come back and review a movie with us, because we obviously do movie reviews as well, other than our interviews. So the door is open. You are now family, and this film is now part of my family. So thank you so much for doing this.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I'll totally be back. Hopefully I get I'll make sure that everybody gets to see it before we chat.
Yeah, for sure. Dean, do you have any last thoughts or anything?
No, I'm good, man. I'm just still thinking about the goat scene from Jurassic Park. That is literally probably the
Right.
greatest scene of all time ever. I think I love that trap. But anyway, yeah, that's
I tell you, it's just one of those crazy things, dude. This whole movie, every time they're like, oh, wait, the police car's here. Can we put it in the background? Like every time something like that would happen, we're at this vegan ranch and they've got goats. And
yeah.
I'm like, do you think they'll bring one of the goats over? Like, I want to get that damn goat in my movie. Please let me have the goat. It's in the script, but I never thought we'd do it. And there's like goats there. And I'm like, go talk to them, see if they'll let us use the goat. And there's a goat with Christmas decorations on it. Like, indie miracles that happen every day.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in, and check out other work from Stephen and future work. And we will be chatting again soon. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you for listening and watching, and we'll catch you next time.